Before we jump into the rest of the video, I did just want to say that I will include clips at the end of this video of me going through the process of painstakingly downloading all of my ebooks off of my Kindle library. I only had 182 books, but it was still kind of annoying. On that note, though, I did figure out a way to speed up the process, but you will have to stick around till the end in order to figure out what that method was. So without further ado, let's jump into the rest of the video. Hey there, welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. There is a topic that I really want to talk about. If you couldn't tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking about some recent developments that the bookish community has been made aware of regarding Kindle and their rules about downloading ebooks. I never really downloaded my ebooks from Kindle onto my computer. I never really saw a reason to, but I guess some people would download the files onto their computer just to back them up in case anything happened. I didn't realize this was even a feature that you could even take advantage of. So this was news to me. I'll be completely honest with you there. The thing is, now people are upset because they'll no longer be able to download the ebooks that they bought off of the Kindle store, onto their e-readers. And trust me, as a reader, an avid reader, I get the frustration, especially when it comes to ebooks. I know here they can be really expensive, and there's a school of thought behind why they're expensive, because, okay, just as a side tangent, there's always a debate. I shouldn't say always anyway. God, where am I even going with this? I've heard this debate that, because ebooks are a digital thing, it doesn't really cost you anything to make an ebook the same way it does a print book. So the school of thought is, well, I shouldn't be paying as much for an ebook as I am for the physical version. And that's still the case. Most of the time, you're still not paying as much for the ebook as you are for the paperback or the hardcover. But a teacher in my program, in case you didn't know, I'm a creative writing major, she mentioned that the reason why ebooks tend to be priced a lot more these days is because publishers are trying to value the work in the same way, no matter what format it's in. Basically saying, just because the book is in a digital format doesn't mean that it should be valued significantly less, regardless of how much it takes to make that specific format of the manuscript. The author still, along with a whole host of other people, still put in a ton of effort to get the book to that point of being able to be published. Getting back to the original point of this is that people didn't realize, and I didn't realize myself how many people didn't know this, but people didn't realize that you don't own the books that you buy off of the Kindle store. The way it works is you're basically just licensing the book, or renting it rather, from the Kindle store. And I've mentioned this to people that I know and on the internet, I think a couple of times, but if Kindle decided to delete your account, or for whatever reason, you could no longer access the ebooks, just because you bought them doesn't mean you get those ebooks back. If anything happens to your Kindle account, you lose access to the ebooks that you bought. And that is why I think people are so up in arms about this new rule that's coming into effect on February 26th, is because they're worried about that. People are thinking, oh, if I lose access to my Amazon account, I lose access to the products that I buy. And people are generally just upset that they won't be able to download ebook files onto their computer anymore. And there's another creator, I'll link her video down below too. I think her name is Laura. I can't remember her actual channel name, but again, it will be linked down below. She was mentioning how back in the day, when Kindles first came out, you had to, the Kindle couldn't connect to the internet, which I thought was interesting. As a elder Gen Z, I remember a time where devices like that couldn't connect to the internet, but I forgot that was a thing. I had devices like DSs that could also connect to the internet, but I remember trying to use the internet browser and watch YouTube on my DS. Trust me, it did not work. So I'm assuming it's something like that. But in order to get ebooks onto the Kindle, you actually, back in the day, you had to buy the books on Amazon online and then download them from your computer onto your Kindle. So it's funny how that evolution worked. At one point, you actually had to be able to download the ebook onto your laptop. So times have clearly changed. One of the reasons why people are speculating this is the case, that Amazon is making this change, is due to piracy concerns. And from this perspective, I also get it. As somebody who is planning to fund their publishing journey, I do see some upside to this. I can't say I'm fully on board with this, to be completely honest with you, but this is one of those things where I kind of see both sides a little bit. Kindle has this rule that if you're signed up to be in Kindle Unlimited as an author, not the reader, this doesn't apply to readers. If your book is found on any other website, your book can be taken off of the Kindle library. And that's not really good, especially as an indie published author. You are probably going to be relying heavily on the income that you get through Amazon. And a lot of the time, it seems, the way these books get out there is the fact that people are able to download copies of these books from Amazon and sometimes arcs of the book, etc., and upload them to these third-party websites that are obviously illegal and is out of the author's control, but the author will be penalized because Amazon, this probably happens so often, and I'm just assuming here, that they don't necessarily have the time or bother to take the time to hear the author out before they take the book down. They just act first, ask questions later. At least that's how I'm assuming it works. The most recent and well-known case of this is Raven Kennedy, who at one point was a self-published author. She is now published by Blam, I think, or one of those imprints that I think are more dedicated to publishing authors who used to be self-published. Anyway, there was one point where she was still an independent author, and she ran into this issue where a lot of her books ended up on third-party websites, which again was out of her control, but Amazon took her books down from the Kindle library for a certain time because her books were in Kindle Unlimited, and Kindle Unlimited, of course, has that clause that you have to be exclusive to Kindle and you can't sell your ebook anywhere else. Print copies you can sell wherever you want, but it's specifically the ebooks that cannot be sold elsewhere. So, of course, Raven Kennedy ran into this issue, and since she was such a popular author at the time and still is, she was understandably not happy with the situation, as were a bunch of her readers or people who were planning to read her books. And I guess readers from that point on were kind of like, hey, Amazon, what are you doing? And I'm not going to say that Amazon is the only reason why people's ebooks get pirated. There are other websites that you can download ebook files from and upload them elsewhere. I think it's a twofold situation. You can't necessarily blame the retailer always for this in terms of the ebooks actually ending up on piracy sites. That is partially people who, for various reasons, want to put those books up on those sites. And I do believe there are cases as well, by the way, where people they literally will not get the book any other way because they can't afford to. There are countries where certain websites aren't available. Maybe Amazon isn't accessible as it is here in the West. I've heard of firsthand accounts from people who are in situations like that, and they were in a position where, like I was saying, they wouldn't have bought the book or been able to buy it any other way. So the philosophy there is, well, if they're not going to get the sale, then I might as well just get it in the way that I can and that I can afford to use. And I'm saying all of this as somebody who wants to be an independent author. This is a conversation for another time. I plan on opening my own imprint, but for now, I'm going to be an independent author. All of this is to say that I get where the concerns are, but then we can still blame Amazon or whatever platform we're buying our ebooks from for having these clauses in the terms of service or whatever. Why are we punishing the authors when it's not their fault? And we can make our assumptions. We can make assumptions all day. That's exactly what I'm doing here. Amazon's a business, so they're going to do whatever makes them money. First and foremost, that's what any business is going to do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a business. Words of wisdom from your resident booktuber. And I've already kind of transitioned away from using the Kindle store. Since October of last year, and you can watch the last video I posted. I would have rather posted it on Shorts, but it was too long to be in Shorts, so I just posted it as a regular video. You can see in my last video that I was unboxing my new Kobo, and I said so, like pretty much everything that I've been saying in this video, I said in that video. I also have yet to mention in this video, though, that I now get my ebooks from this web store called ebooks.com, a place that you can buy your ebooks online. It's been independently run for a couple decades at this point. And I mean, there's nothing else to say other than that. It's a reputable store that you can buy ebooks from. It's not Amazon. It's independently owned. And I mean, yeah, like you can do that. It's great. You can download the files onto your computer. The books cost about the same as they do on Amazon and anywhere else for that matter. The prices don't change. And by the way, one of the ways I believe, and this isn't like hardcore proof and or advice, like do your own research when it comes to this. One of the ways you can tell a website is maybe not the most reputable, for lack of a better term, is if they offer you very good bundles or prices for books that are a little too good to be true. Like, it's one thing, I mean, okay, obviously if they're offering like free ebooks in general, don't buy a book from there. But like, I've come across websites where I thought they were legit, and I became very aware that they were not, because they would advertise like, oh, get all these books from this one author for like $20. And it's like, that is so, like, it's not fair to the author. And there's no way that all these books would cost $20. So stuff like that, like, be aware where you're putting your money. I did my research, and ebooks.com, to my knowledge, is a very reputable website that's based in Australia. That's what I'll say on that. And the files that you can get from that website are compatible with Kobos, but they're not compatible with Kindles, which is what led me to get a Kobo to begin with. I wanted to be able to buy my ebooks from anywhere that wasn't Amazon or like a major retailer of ebooks. I think at this point, that's a pretty fair concern to address. Like, where can we diversify our buying? Like, where we buy our stuff from? I couldn't think of a better word for that. I'm also, okay, I didn't want to like talk about politics in this video of all places, but as a Canadian, there has been this huge shift in people from this country wanting to diversify where they spend their money, because Canada, if you don't know, is fairly reliant on the US for a lot of things. And this is something I thought about too with, the TikTok ban, when everyone thought that was going to happen and it didn't. I remember thinking like, oh, is TikTok going to get banned in Canada? And then I remembered why it was being banned in the US. And that was because it was a foreign company that owned TikTok. Maybe it still does. We're unsure of that at this point. But it was a foreign company that owned TikTok, and there were security concerns regarding that, as we all know. But then I remembered, in Canada, all the social media sites that we use on a daily basis are foreign owned. So of all reasons, that would be not a good one for it to be banned in Canada. As far as I'm aware, that's not even on the table at this point. I think we have one politician who has mentioned it, but it's hard to say if that'll actually come to fruition or not. Okay, we don't have any politicians that are nearly as crazy as Donald Trump, but we're getting there, because we do have some right-wing politicians who are trying to emulate his style, and I really don't. Again, conversation for another day. Bringing it back to the topic at hand, Amazon. For me personally, I still use Amazon for like my day-to-day sort of shopping needs. I don't even use it on a daily basis anymore. Much like social media, I ended up actually deleting the Amazon app from my phone, so I wouldn't like just scroll on it and accidentally, like, not accidentally, but end up being sucked into buying something, I guess. But this is a particular case where I feel like figuring out where I can support independent stores and retailers, like, this is something that, for me, at least, is really important to me. And I think this whole rule change has been a wake-up call for a lot of people because of their lack of knowledge in what they own and don't own. And that YouTuber that I believe I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Laura, was also mentioning how this rule change could mean something a little bit more sinister. And that has to do with the fact that, you know, people, once they kind of get locked into a certain ecosystem, it's really hard to break out of that. I guess in America, especially, they are sort of inundated with God knows how many different subscription services. Thankfully, in Canada, we have a little bit more rules and regulations surrounding like subscription services. Because I know that creator Laura talked about how, you know, back in the day, you had Netflix and Hulu, and that was pretty much it for the longest time. But then Disney Plus came out, and then Peacock came out, and all these other streaming services, I guess HBO Max at one point. And don't get me wrong, like in Canada, we have way more than just Netflix and Disney Plus. We also have Amazon Prime, like many countries do. We have a streaming service called Crave, which in Canada, if you want to watch anything that's on HBO Max, you watch it on Crave. And where else? Actually, I think that's pretty much it. Like we have other ones like CBC Gem, which if you're not Canadian, you're not going to know what the hell that is for sure. But CBC is just a broadcasting network in Canada. That's where the CBC is where shows like Schitt's Creek became a thing. And yeah, shows like that became like fairly popular internationally. If you see any like Canadian made shows like that on Netflix, most of the time, it's usually because it's in collaboration with CBC. And with an E was also made by the CBC. And I find that interesting how, at least with TV and media in Canada, we've managed to sort of keep a little more groundedness in our culture and like what content gets made here. But for whatever reason, and I mean, I'm kind of doing research on this right now in school. I mean, I guess I know the reason because I've done the research. The publishing industry is very, very Americanized. All the big 5 publishers at one point or another started in America. And even in Canada, we are so heavily reliant on American publishers to employ Canadians. And like we have independent publishers here, but it's just different. And bringing it back to the main topic at hand, because I keep like straying away and like talking about other things. Even for Americans, I feel like diversifying where you buy your books and your ebooks especially, like there are ways to like own the content that you buy. Just as long as it's not from Amazon specifically, they purposely use a different ebook file in order to like make it, I guess, harder for people to read those ebooks later down the line. Now, again, it depends where you live. You might actually be able to remove the DRM from those files. And that's also something I think Amazon's trying to combat because, well, some people just don't care about the law in general for whatever reason. So they're going to remove that DRM no matter what. But I guess it's all, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to end that thought. It's just kind of crazy and a little interesting. I find it just, I don't even know what word to use. Like, I find it fascinating. Also, as a creative writing major, like the publishing industry and books and writing and everything to do with that topic just fascinates me because I'm a nerd. And I like to read and write and I like to talk about books and stuff. So that's kind of what this video was. I just wanted to rant. I also didn't feel like being on camera, obviously. So that is why we're doing a voiceover of footage that I have definitely already filmed a long time ago. So you're welcome for that. So right now I'm going through my entire Kindle library and writing down every single book that I have. And as I download them to my computer, I'm going to check the book title off this list. This is going to be fun. To be precise, I have 182 books and 8 pages on Amazon itself. To be specific, there's 8 pages worth of books on the website. So yay. Hi. It's been a few days and I had to take a break because life happened. Funny thing, So I, as you know, have been making a list of all of the books that are on my Kindle account, my Amazon account, whatever you want to call it, writing it by hand. This list is a little bit different than the one that I showed you a couple of days ago. And that would just be because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to fucking count. For example, all of this whiteout, it's literally just because I messed up the counting and everything like that. So the way I ended up doing it this time around, the second attempt, is just 1 to 25 lines basically on each page, and that works a lot better. It's easier to keep track of everything. This is messy. It's still kind of stupid, but it works better for me this way. And I'm almost done, so it's fine. And I can't remember if I've already explained this, but basically the goal is to write everything down and then go through the entire list, because the way it works is you have to download each book individually, and that's annoying. And I know myself, I'm going to miss a book or download one twice. This is just for peace of mind. I'll check off each book as I go down the list, if that makes sense. So I'll update you once I get started on that. Praise, I don't know what that was. Praise the Lord, I found a code that will download it all for you. So I don't have to do this almost 200 times. Woo. That's it right there. It's downloading everything. Yay. Hopefully this doesn't like crash my computer. There was a reason why I wrote all of those books down, and I'm going to show you why I wrote all those books down, because I know all of you are going to be like, what the hell are you doing? It's literally all right in front of you, even though I just explained why. I have a real life example as to why. So the title that I'm pointing to right now is a picture book, actually. So it's not compatible with the type of Kindle device that I own. And this list is really important because while I was using that code actually to download all these ebooks automatically, so I didn't have to sit and go through 180 books to download them, a message popped up saying that a particular book wasn't compatible with, like I was saying, the type of e-reader that I have. But because I changed the code to make it go faster, I wasn't sure which ebook file it was referring to. So once I had all the files on my computer, I was able to go through all the ebooks that I had written down and make sure that I had every single one until I got to the one that I didn't see on my actual computer. But I know that this is the one that didn't get downloaded. And the reason why this is an issue is because when you go to download those ebooks, you have to select which Kindle device to download them to. And you're probably thinking like, well, why does that make a difference? If you're downloading it to your computer, you should be able to download it onto any Kindle device that you own. And I'll have to do some research in order to like explain this a little bit better, or even if I have the information correct. But the way I understand it is when you download an ebook from Kindle onto your computer, you're basically registering that particular file to the serial number that coordinates with your Kindle device. So that way you can't put it anywhere else. Hence the whole digital rights management thing that comes up in every one of these videos that, you know, people make about this issue. So because I don't own any Kindles that do color and or show picture book files like that, I can't actually download that one particular ebook. Tablets don't count, by the way. As far as I'm aware, at least where I live, you're not able to download/transfer ebooks to a tablet if you have one. At least if the tablet isn't already like a Kindle or Amazon made like Fire tablet or something. I only have an iPad, so that's the reason why I ended up with that ebook in the first place. It was for a class, totally not important to the actual topic at hand. Anyway, all of this is to say, if you have the time, make a list of some sort. And if you're one of those people who has like 1,000 books in their Kindle library, obviously this is not going to work for you. I'm someone who doesn't read that fast, so while 180 books sounds like a lot to me, and sitting there downloading each book individually would have sucked. Like, I understand there are people, I saw someone online saying that they've been buying off a Kindle since 2009. That would be a shit ton of books. I recognize my methods aren't going to work for everyone. I'll leave a link to the video as well where I got the code from and like the browser extension that you need to do that, because I feel like there are a lot of people who will be doing a last minute scramble for all of this. So all the resources that I talk about, I'll do my best to link them down below in case you're one of those people with doing that last minute scramble to get all your books downloaded. Anyway, hope you enjoyed.
back to the video.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and to do whatever the hell you want in life. Make sure to click the little bell next to the subscribe button to be notified anytime that I post. Hope you have a great day and or night whenever you're watching this. And I will see you guys, or more like you'll see me, in the next video. Bye!